Welcome back to This Week in Louisiana Politics. I'm joined by Capitol reporter Shannon Heckt. And Shannon, we wanted to talk to you about all of the vetoes that we've been seeing and the vetoes that have been promised. The governor has been busy this week.
Yeah, he's got a lot of decisions to make before his time runs out to make his decisions on a lot of the bills that have come through at the end of session. So this week, one of the most notable vetoes that we saw was he vetoed the bill that would make it a crime to approach a law enforcement officer within 25 feet if they tell you to get back and they are doing their duties. And many saw that as a way to prevent filming or viewing certain activities such as the George Floyd situation. A lot of people believe that that came in response to that. Others saw it as a way to protect law enforcement officers, give them that barrier of safety when they're trying to do their jobs.
But the governor pointed out in his veto that he also believes it's duplicative. He believes that there's already a law in place, and I think it was passed back in August of 2010, that keeps you from interfering with a police officer's investigation.
Right, you can't interfere with investigations, you can't, assault them, things like that. Those are already crimes. And he also said that this law would be infringing on the First Amendment right to be viewing these things, being in certain public spaces and such. So that's why he said he decided to veto it. Yeah,
he was also able to sort of fix a little hiccup that we had in the budget. After it passed, they realized that millions of dollars was taken out of Louisiana Department of Health. He was able to fix that with this veto, right?
Right. Last week we talked about the big concern around the $100 million that was cut from LDH in the final moments of the legislative session. And it wasn't just going to be $100 million because a lot of that money is used for federal grant matching. So it could have been up to $800 million that the department would have lost out on. And it would have cut mental health services, pediatric care, a lot of things that people don't want to cut. So he decided to line item veto parts of HB1, the operating budget. He took $125 million out of the retirement debt investments that were put in by the House Republicans that they really pushed for. There still is going to be about $200 million going towards that retirement debt payments and everything that are on track to be paid off by 2029, I believe, probably sooner now with this investment. So he put the $100 million back into LDH. He also put about $7 million into early childhood education, bringing it up to $51.5 million. Not the full amount they need to save every seat that they created in the pandemic with that funding, but it's a little bit closer to what he asked for originally.
So this line item veto power that he has is actually very useful, especially when you consider the enormity of House Bill 1, which is basically the budget. If he had to veto that entire thing, they would have had to gone back into a special session and create a whole nother bill, correct?
Right. It's a useful thing that the Louisiana governor has because it's about a over $40 billion budget, so he doesn't have to cut the whole thing to fix this LDH situation, so he can make these line item vetoes. We also saw him doing line item cuts in the pet projects bill a few weeks ago, which many see that one as punishments, where they cut local projects of certain legislators, and sometimes when they have controversy, the governor at the time will use that power to take out some of their local projects. Not just John Bel, many governors have done this throughout history.
Yeah, I don't ever see them fessing up to it, but it's coincidental that these are the same legislators that either caused problems or voted against the bill, correct?
Right. In the pet projects bill, it was mostly focused on the 9 conservatives who voted against the budget on the final day of session.
Any other vetoes coming down?
Yeah, so the governor said on Sine Died that he anticipates to veto the 3 anti-LGBTQ bills, the names and pronouns bill by Representative Raymond Cruz, Louisiana's version of the Don't Say Gay bill by Representative Dodie Horton, and the ban on gender affirming care by Representative Gabe Ferment.
All right. Capitol reporter Shannon Heckt, thank you so much.
Thanks, Fred.
Stay with us. When we come back, I'm going to talk to Congressman Garrett Graves about his plan to lower the price of car insurance. Stay with us. We'll be right back.